This is the 22nd season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk about bass fishing in studio for a full week of 8:30 a.m. shows, Monday through Thursday. And then I'm headed to the one and only Lake Champlain. Unfortunately, to get to Lake Champlain from where I am, I'm going to stay overnight at my parents' house in central Illinois. Then we'll go up, kind of hit Erie, go through Cleveland. You have Buffalo, then you have to drive past Syracuse, which has Oneida, and then you cut across into upstate New York on the west side towards Vermont, and then you reach the Holy Land, which is Lake Champlain. A lot of good smallmouth venues there. So I wanted to do a show this week about smallmouth fishing, and not just a technique show. We'll get into a little bit of techniques because, you know, we got a regular guest on today and he's caught a few smallmouth in his day. Wonder how many smallmouth, because he's from Cleveland, but he winters in Florida where smallmouth are few and far between. Wonder if there's any smallmouth in Florida anywhere. That'd be interesting. I think there might be. No, I don't think there are. But I would venture to say, I mean, we're talking about a guy who had like a 5.5-year streak of catching a fish every single day. I think he's somewhat back. I wonder if he would estimate how many smallmouth that he has caught in his illustrious lifespan. What's up, Charlie?
Good to see you, Matt. I would not be able to estimate that.
Let's try. Let's think about it. So what was the first smallmouth that you ever caught?
Conservatively, let's say 1,000 a season for the last 30 years. So that'd be 30,000, and that's pretty conservative. 1,000 a season's only sometimes 10 days on the water with 100 fish days. So, which 30, is really
30,000.
Tens of thousands of smallmouth, maybe hundreds of thousands. Yeah.
Do you remember the first smallmouth? Like what is the first smallmouth that sticks out in your mind? It may not be the first one that you caught, but like the first one in your career.
Probably the very first one was we would summer up on a lake in Alpena, Michigan called Grand Lake. And when of course, back in the day with Mom, we would just drift night crawlers on eagle claw snell rigs with split shots.
You're after the walleyes, weren't you?
We'd put them on the stringer. We put everything on the stringer, Matt. Perch, rock bass, walleye. If we caught a smallmouth, it was like, oh, look at that thing. Put it on the stringer. But one of my favorite smallmouth stories, my older sister, who's no longer with us, her and I were out alone in the rowboat, and we caught a big smallmouth. I mean, one that, you know, wasn't just table fare. It was a trophy, and it jumped and fought on our little Zebco 33. And we were so excited to get it in and show it to everyone that we drug the anchor all the way in to the dock. We forgot to pull the anchor up, and we drug the anchor all the way to the dock. We wondered why the bow of the boat was riding so low, but we were just so excited to show that thing off. My sister was very excitable like me. We had so many traits in common, and you know, this is way back, Matt, probably late 60s, early 70s. I'm in a goofy looking swimsuit. She's in her bikini top, and we're just young kids screaming at the top of our lungs because we caught a big smallmouth bass. And I still have that picture where we're holding it up on the old metal stringer. You know, I think that one did get released, but not to the grease. I think that one we did treat as a trophy. And that was my first exposure to smallmouth, was going up north to that lake almost every summer. We'd rent a cabin up there for about a month, and I learned a lot about smallmouth. Nothing like we know now. You know, it was mostly shallow water. You know, I was adapting my largemouth prowess towards smallmouth, throwing at reeds and visible rocks and things with little spinner baits. And then I learned about grubs. I think way before the tube, we had grubs, big fat grubs.
The Kalins, was that the main one?
Even before Kalin, just
Mr. Twister?
Yeah, but Kalin was the name. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to get you on too. I said this before the show. So we cover a lot of tournament fishing. We're going to be covering a lot of tournament fishing here on BTL. You're obsessed with tournament fishing just like I am, but we're also just obsessed with fishing. I think the last time we had you on, because I try to get you on about every 2 months. Last time we had you on, it was just Charlie Hartley loves fishing. But we've got the NPFL coming up this week out of Messina on the St. Lawrence River. Then the pro circuit is in Plattsburgh for a stop on Lake Champlain. Then like a couple weeks, then the week after that is the Bass Nation Regional, which I didn't put that in there but I'm headed up there. Thus the Smalley stash that is loading. And listen, I'm going to go full screen on it for a second. I'll just get the cat out of the room. Look at this right
Get this over with.
So this is a month and a half of growing it. And this is just for men to make it dark because I have very light facial hair and it doesn't come in thick at all either. So this is a just for men, nicely manicured. That's the dark brown version right there. Just you kind of paint, you have to like mix it to activate the ingredients, paint it on with the brush and scrub it so the skin doesn't get, but I just feel like a dirty Smalley stash just goes hand in hand with going up north. And every time I manicure it or see it or look in the mirror, this thing reminds me I'm after 22 pounds of smallmouth bass on Lake Champlain. So
yep. But you don't want to rub your fingers through it after you've been messing with the Max scent because it's going to be a stinky stash.
Yeah, and also especially now because I'm into the taco powder and the bite juice and things. So like I said, I mean, this thing will not get shrimpy. It will not get Max any. I'm going to keep it clean. And then as soon as that last cast is made, I'm going to go back to the VRBO and it's gone. But I'm all about the smallmouth. So there's that tournament. Then the Bass Pro Tours on Saginaw Bay out of Michigan. And then in between there, you have the Elite Series right after that. That's on Champlain. And then they close on the St. Lawrence River also. And then also mixed in there in a couple weeks is a final Bassmaster EQ out of Buffalo. So in the next month and a half, we've got Buffalo, the St. Lawrence River, Lake Champlain, and Saginaw Bay, all three major tour stops all the way. And there's also Toyota that they had just there all the way from the top to the bottom, all guys dreaming about getting their hands on 5-pound smallmouth. So I figure we got to talk about smallmouth and we're doing a whole smallmouth show. You on board for it?
Yes, it's a great time of the year. I was up at Buffalo till it went off limits Saturday, and we're wearing hoodies and our rain pants in the morning because it's chilly. It's been so daggone hot, and to go up there where the weather's still cold. And if you get on social media, a bunch of people are up there right now just play fishing. They went up a week or two ahead of the tournaments just to sharpen their smallmouth skills. And there's something about smallmouth fishing, Matt. It's so different than largemouth fishing. A big largemouth pulls and is very exciting, but nothing is like fighting a big smallmouth. You know it as well as I do. They just don't seem to give up. They jump, they pull. No two do the same things. And something about them being covered with ice for 6 or 7 months makes them very hungry and naive. It's amazing. The 100 fish days you can have compared to largemouth fishing. You can sit in one spot, and drop down and catch every smallmouth under you until they get wise to you. Then, of course, tournament day, it's never that easy. But when you're up there pre-fishing and the fish haven't been pressured, they just seem hungry. It's like they'll eat anything.
Now, I would venture to say, and you could say the same thing about maybe the herring lakes and things like that, but Toledo Bend, a Rayburn, a Gunnersville, an Okeechobee, a St. Johns River, the stuff when Bassmaster went there for the first time in the 60s, in the 70s, in the 80s. Yeah, technology has changed, baits, rods, reels, lure, but you were still flipping grass and throwing worms and pulling traps and cranking spinner baits. would you say it's safe to say, Charlie, that nothing over the past 15 years has evolved more than tournament fishing for smallmouth?
The weights have almost doubled to win tournaments in a 20-year period, thanks to zebra mussels, gobies, all these terrible exotics that were going to destroy our fisheries have enhanced them to the point we don't know where the ceiling's going to end. Zona does a bunch of shows on it. I had the good fortune of being on Zona's show years ago when we were up on an island out in Lake Michigan, out in front of Sturgeon Bay, doing a show. And he says it in his shows, like, first we were excited when you caught a 20-pound bag, then a 22-pound bag, then a 20. Well, now it's a 30-pound bag. You need the dirty 30, which is incredible. When I first started smallmouth fishing the Great Lakes, 15 pounds was a big bag of fish. 20 pounds was very rare. And that has all happened in our lifetime. But it's also changed how we fish for them. Thank goodness we have technology, because the water's so clear now and the fish seem to live a lot deeper because their forage is a lot deeper. And the lakes have got a lot clearer, and we've got grass in them. The habitat, I mean, look at Cayuga. How many times have they broke the state record in the last 2 or 3 springs?
12 or something, I believe.
These are similar to the days when they were trying to break the world record in California for largemouth. I mean, we had a 10-pound Lake Erie smallmouth caught 2 or 3 years ago, a 10-pound smallmouth,
I remember that.
That's just mind-boggling. That's a freak of nature. And we don't know where it's going to stop. I think we could see a new world record smallmouth if things don't change in the next decade. Dale Hollow was a whole lot different animal than the Great Lakes with gobies. And people don't understand the Great Lakes that have never been there. They're literally like oceans, and they're connected, and fish can migrate, and fish can schools and schools of fish and schools of bait. It's so much different than a man-made reservoir. They can support so much life. The Great Lakes, I mean, even the walleye fishing is at record-breaking this year on Lake Erie. Everything is booming. The waters look beautiful. When I was a kid and we'd go to the Great Lakes, the water was like chocolate milk. Now it looks like you're in the Bahamas. I mean, it's turquoise blue. I just watched with Tracy a rerun of Major League Fishing team event up on the St. Clair River. That water is absolutely gorgeous blue. I mean, it looks like a swimming pool. And it's weird in our lifetime with man being here this long to see a fishery improve instead of decline. We were always told as kids, all the best days are behind us because we caught all the fish now and they're all pressured. But man, the Great Lakes and most of the smallmouth fisheries have proven that wrong. The best days are still happening right now. It's been incredible. People who have never seen the Great Lakes cannot comprehend that. I mean, John Bondi's doing a study right now where they believe muskie migrate all the way from Lake St. Clair all the way down to Niagara to spawn. Some of them migrate
Holy cow.
And that sounds astronomical, but then when you think about birds flying from continent to continent every year, what's so weird about a fish swimming from one Great Lake to the next? Nothing at all. That's a small trip compared to what butterflies and birds do. So, that we really don't understand that whole fishery as well as we think we do. And it's one of the greatest resources America has is the Great Lakes. They're unique to the USA. And, a 250 anniversary to the United States of America, thank God, SINCOM, made in America. And bass fishing made in America. I don't think it gets any more American. The most American sport ever is bass fishing, not baseball. It's bass fishing.
Attaboy, Charlie. Hey, quick note. Just put an asterisk next to it. Can you send me Bondi's contact info after the show's over? I'd love
yes,
to
you need to have him on.
Yeah, no, I know with the Bondi bait and all that, but I'd love to chat with about the old Moose Tracks days and that.
Yeah.
Because that was
he'd love it. He just posted a picture the other day of him in a jersey at an elite. We traveled together the first couple of years. Just a great guy, and he's doing so well and would be a fascinating guest. But yes, the smallmouth fishing up there is just unbelievable. People who have not seen the Great Lakes can't they think they've been on a big lake because they've been on Toledo Bend. I've been on Toledo Bend. And I'm like, yep, you can see it. You don't understand what it's like heading out to an island in the middle of Lake Erie, and for about an hour, you don't see land behind you and you don't see an island ahead of you yet. That's how massive these are. I mean, just huge bodies of water that we really can't hurt. It is troubling that we have summer tournaments. We're going to have to figure out catch, weigh, and release in a bigger format, because I'm afraid they are fragile in the heat. I have grave concerns. Even when you don't put them in the live well, those fish nearly fight themselves to death. They come up from the depths so quickly. The compression is so hard on their bodies. Blood will actually come out of the side of the fish, not out of its mouth, just from the pressure.
Oh, is that what that is? I always thought thought like it was like the line when they're done gets caught underneath their gills. It's not when they're dark blood. It's just that little light rosy that kind of comes out of their gills. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now, Charlie.
It'd be like if you swam up from 100 feet deep in 1 second, your body.
Yeah, and I will say, especially with what Bass has done, where they have the seminars and things on how to fizz fish, and you come in and you take it and you have the fin clips, and now we know about ice and the I guess supplements.
I send donations up there to Barb every year at Thousand Islands.
Barb Elliott, right?
Yep. I order one, but I send her enough money for about 5, and I say donate 5 more out there, because every smallmouth they can save during that time of the year is worth every penny. They're treasures. Those old 4 and 5 pound smallmouth are 20 years old, and they don't get replaced. It's like cutting a tree down. It takes a lot of years for one to get that big.
Now, I try to be a little bit of historian of the game, but the first northern smallmouth one that sticks out to me is when Rick won on the St. Lawrence River in the early 90s. Were you fishing that tournament?
I fished the next one. We looked that up once when you and I were on here, but I fished the next one. He caught them on spinner bait.
Yeah, that was
and he said that if you slowed it down, a pike would get it. You had to reel it so fast that the pike couldn't get it, so only the smallmouth.
Did we show this one last time when you were on?
Yep. No, but I've seen that. I know. Yeah, there you go. There it is. Yeah.
That was 92.
Yeah.
Jimmy Houston. I mean, it was out of Thousand Islands. Look at how different it is. There's Rick catching him out in the open water. The largemouth still played. He won that thing with like 44 pounds.
Yeah. And for 3 or 4 days, 3 days.
3 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 12 pounds a day.
Yeah.
14. And look at that big smallmouth on it.
Yeah. The next one we talked about was the one KVD won out of the same place. And I got to have George Cochran as my co-angler go under that bridge at French Creek Marina on day 3. And we had a day of smallmouth fishing like you couldn't believe. Old gentleman George and I. Yep.
I want to put together a list. This is a subjective list, but it's Charlie Hartley's list of your top 5 places to smallmouth fish out of the Great Lakes. Now we can go, what is it? What's the furthest west lake? Would be Superior.
Yep.
Superior to Ontario.
Yep.
So Superior to Ontario, if you were to have 5 smallmouth destinations of the Great Lakes. So boy, I'm tested by, is that geography right now? So it'd be Superior, Erie,
Michigan, Huron, Erie, Ontario. Yeah. St. Clair's in between there.
Yeah, but that's not considered a Great Lake, but you can get to the Great Lakes from there. You can launch in St. Clair and either go right to Erie or left to Huron.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I'm all over it today, Charlie. All right.
I've had the pleasure of catching a smallmouth out of all the Great Lakes, and the best places are the ones that are the most remote, just because of lack of pressure. One of the most underestimated ones is Iskanaba, which is up in northern Michigan off the UP. We had they had the Angler of the Year championship there once, if you remember, and they had to postpone 4 days.
I remember that. I was
there. That fishery is phenomenal. And I had the honor of winning the Everstart Northern Open Division one year, the Northern ever starts. And all 4 of those were smallmouth venues. Some of them are so underestimated. Escanaba would be on that list just because where. Secondly, would probably
that's Lake Michigan.
Yep, very north end of it. It's across, like if you came out of Green Bay and headed north and turned left, there's a big bay.
I just
up
wanted
there
to make sure it was Escanaba, and then there's a little Escanaba and a big Escanaba. Yeah,
and okay, that's beautiful. It's beautiful up there. Number 2 would be my personal favorite, which would be Clayton, New York, Thousand Islands area, where you have the opportunity to be on the far east end of Ontario or the river. And we know that NPFL is going to be there. And the cool part about that one, they're going to restrict them to the river. So no forward facing, restricted to the river. That will be very interesting to see the weights and such.
Still take over 20 a day.
I know, way over.
Yeah,
but
that's like 23 a day.
All
right, so we have
number 3. Number 3 would be probably Sandusky Bay, Lake Erie, just because of the Bass Islands and your access to Pelee in Canada from there. And that's
Lake Erie.
Yeah.
Now,
Thunder
how is
Bay,
that doing? I hear about, hold on, we'll talk about Sandusky then. I hear on Lake Erie, I feel like with what we've seen out of Ontario and what we've seen out of Michigan and things like that, that Erie, there hasn't been a lot of major tournaments out of there. I know that MLF has been and stuff like that. But growing up, it was Lake Erie for smallmouth, Lake Erie, Sandusky, Buffalo, some of those other deals in there. But then it seemed like it went through a rough patch a little bit, just in my head. And now is it kind of coming back? Like, I feel like Lake Erie has been kind of like playing third wheel a little bit on the Great Lakes smallmouth fisheries for the past decade. Is that a fair assessment, Charlie? Or is it just...
Yes and no. Some of it is because of pressure. It has vicinity of a lot of big cities. There's a lot of major cities right near Lake Erie, but the thing Lake Erie's got going for it, Matt, and you may or may not know this. Lake Erie is the shallowest of all the Great Lakes, so it has more smallmouth habitat. If you look at Lake Superior or Lake Michigan or Lake Huron, there's a lot of 100 and 200 feet deep water, which is not really smallmouth fishing. If you go to Lake Erie, especially on our western basin, a deep spot is 40 feet. And the reefs, that's just better smallmouth habitat. And clear down to Buffalo starts getting deeper and steeper drops. The west side of Lake Erie is kind of silted in because the Detroit River flows in there. It runs into the island, so it's a shallower, more silty bottom. But no, the fishery is fabulous. It just gets overshadowed. It's like the walleye capital of the world, the perch capital of the world. People vacation there like crazy, pleasure boats, cigarette boats. But whenever they hold a Bassmasters there, you look at the weights and it rivals any of them. It really does. Yeah.
So that's 3. So we have Escanaba, Michigan. We have a Lake Michigan, a Lake Ontario, and a Lake Erie in your first 3.
Yeah. Did I say Thunder Bay out of Lake Huron?
No, you did not.
Yeah. That's a beautiful untapped fishery. I know BFL and one of their team things was up near there. I'm not sure they went out on Lake Huron. They more stayed in the inland lakes, but Thunder Bay is a big river that flows into Lake Huron towards the top of the state. If this is Michigan, it'd be up here.
Okay. The top of it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a huge untapped fishery right there. Hardly ever gets any pressure.
Okay.
And then Buffalo, if I didn't say it already.
Nope, you didn't.
Yeah, and I think you're gonna be floored if we get out all 3 days in our EQ, the weights. My pre-fish, I forgot how phenomenal a fishery that is. If you'll remember, Uncle Frank won back in the day, and it was on the schedule when I won the points in the ever starts, and we've been there once or twice with bass. but it's so weather dependent. That's why I love Thousand Islands area. It's, if the wind's bad, you can still go fishing in the river, but a lot of these are weather dependent. And Buffalo is really weather dependent. It's at the wrong end of the lake, if you know what I mean. That wind can blow 300 miles into that corner where Buffalo is. But it really can blow 300 miles. That's how long that lake is.
I'm looking up, is St. Clair, do they consider St. Clair part of the Great Lakes?
It is not a Great Lake. It's certainly part of the Great Lakes. I've got a sticker in the back of my truck that outlines all the lakes, and St. Clair is on it. And when you see the scale, how small St. Clair is compared to the Great Lakes, it makes it looks like a puddle. But then when you're on St. Clair is huge.
Yeah. Okay. So you're able to include that in your top 5, but it is not in your top 5.
St. Clair is awesome.
But it's fine. I mean, it's a yes or no. It's not in your top 5. I just didn't want you to think because I had said Great Lakes that you intentionally left St. Clair.
Most highly pressured of all the areas on the Great Lakes of anywhere I've ever been. Okay. It's ridiculous how many bass boats are out there. Okay. When I was at Buffalo a couple of weeks ago, we saw one bass boat. 100 walleye boats, but one bass boat. Now, this weekend, I was impressed how many guys were there right to the last day to cut off. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of boats, and Tracy came up from Florida a couple of weeks ago. Thank God Tracy's returned to take care of the king. And
I saw what she was cooking you, Johnny. Yeah. We're talking like 3 and 4 course meals. We had corn and potato salad and chicken sandwiches.
Yeah. She goes, oh, you've been gone a month. I got to fatten you up. So she's fixing me meals like crazy. She spoils me rotten, but she really wanted to get up here to teach me how to drag tubes again on the Great Lakes. When I was in my best competition was back when Tracy used to be able to practice with us. Way back before the elites got so serious, our wives could practice with us. And Tracy was so good at catching smallmouth. And I know Jimmy Houston said this about Chris a couple of times. I wouldn't have won any tournaments if Chris wouldn't have helped me find the fish. And I feel the same about Tracy. So Tracy hadn't been in the boat in 4 or 5 years, Matt, and we got out there and had a double header right off. And when one of the fish dropped on the floor, of course, that drop shot hook came out and went right in the palm of my hand. And Tracy had to help me do the line trick.
Oh, Charlie.
And, she took it like a trooper. I thought she was going to panic, and it even worse. It took 3 jerks.
I could hear her going, "Oh my God, Charlie!"
There's fish flying around on the floor of the boat. I got to.
Oh my God! All right, so.
But anyway, she wanted to teach me how to drag tubes again, because that's how we used to catch them before the zebra mussels. The tube was so dominant. But then she hadn't been in the boat in 4 or 5 years with me. And she forgot. She goes, oh, my gosh, I forgot what it's like being out in these 3 and 4 foot waves when the floor moves 3 feet when you go to take a step. And I deal with seasickness terribly. And what's multiplied it now is that forward-facing sonar. Yeah. It's bad enough getting seasick when you're looking out on the horizon, but when you're staring at that screen, oh my gosh. And it makes for a long, miserable day for me. I use the patch. I didn't put it on in practice. I like to try to build up my tolerance. The more I go out there, the more I get seasick, the less I get seasick, if that makes sense. And you get your sea legs back and you start running around the boat like you're young again. But that is the biggest challenge for me, always was on the Great Lakes. I don't get seasick on anything but the Great Lakes. And I don't know why that is. I've never been seasick on any inland water, but I have on saltwater and the Great Lakes. And it has to do with my equilibrium, my eyesight.
It's something that I think you're born with. You're either like that or not, because like I can't even relate to that. And I've been out on the ocean and the Great Lakes, but then other guys here are like, oh, well, you just must not fish. And then you listen to like guys like you and some other guys, and you're like, no, they fish way more on open water than I do. And you're like, you either got the seasick or you don't have the seasick.
Yeah, even as a kid, of the 5 kids, I'd have to ride in the front seat of the station wagon because I'd get motion sickness in the back seat. I mean, you're right. Ever since I was a kid, I've had motion sickness of one form or another. But that can be challenging, especially when you're retying and, rigging rods. And there's times I'd literally have to pull, into a calm cove or motor. When you're under power, under the big motor, it goes away. It's only when you're sitting there trying to focus on, And the other thing I've noticed is when you're fighting a fish, all of a sudden you're not seasick. For the whole moment you're fighting that smallmouth, it's like your brain isn't focused on the seasickness anymore. But yeah, it was so much fun to have her in the boat. And then we pulled up on a beach. It was so pretty one of the days, and she got out of the boat and we, swam and played on the beach. We haven't done that in years.
God, you guys are like 20-year-old newlyweds.
That's what it felt like. It really did. And I sent you a couple pictures. There were some nice restaurants right on the water with open seating to the water, and to have dinner after fishing with Tracy all day and look out on the lake with a cold one. It's pretty special.
Yeah. All right. So the top 5. This is no particular order. You don't even want to try to. I'm not even going to try to make you put them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because I think you could.
And I'm sure I forgot one.
But this is fine. This is good because we're going to make another top 5 list then. So we have Escanaba, Michigan, out of Lake Michigan; Clayton, New York; Lake Ontario; Sandusky Bay out of Ohio; Lake Erie; Thunder Bay. Is that in Michigan? The one that's on Lake Huron?
Yep, Lake Huron. Yep.
And then Buffalo, New York out of Lake Erie. So we have Ontario, Erie a couple times. That's understandable. You're a Cleveland guy. Huron,
Columbus, but close enough.
Yeah. Well, you're a Ohio guy.
Ohioan. I'm a Buckeye.
That was like the time in Jeffries when I first started working for Jeffries, and I wrote an article on Bass Zone, and it said Pittsburgh, home of the world champion Phillies. I thought I was going to get fired. Anyway, now let's do, because we're going to match these up. You mentioned the tube, and I just thought of this. Your top 5, Charlie Hartley's top 5 Great Lakes smallmouth baits. No particular order. So now we're going to have your top 5 destination of the top 5 baits that you like, and then we'll be able to kind of pair them up, and then we'll go into why everybody needs to experience a northern smallmouth trip at least once in their life. And then we'll let you get back to SignCom because I know you got some business to attend to, not only in the office, but also on the pond.
Well, I want you to know the SignCom team here, our staff, are very nice to allow me to.
You own the joint, Charlie. They don't have a choice. They don't have a choice, Charlie.
I postponed our production meeting that is every Monday at 9:30, which is 8:30 your time. I postponed it to 11 o'clock, so they're all fine with that. So you don't have to rush, but you're welcome to rush if you're done.
No.
And one other thing before I forget, I'm going to brag a little bit. I have to. I hate to do this, but you brought up Ohio and Frank being from Cleveland. I get to join Frank in the Ohio Bass Fishing Hall of Fame this fall in September. I was nominated on the second year. Thank you. With
Congratulations. Well
done. Some
done.
of my peers that I can't believe. You can't believe some of the rich history in Ohio bass fishing. I mean, everything from Fred Arbogast to Cream Worms to Steve Clapper to Frank Scalish, Joe Thomas. I'm going to be joining a lot of my peers. Pretty emotional.
That's fantastic, Charlie.
Thank you.
You got it. You'll have to have that plaque right behind you. You'll have to. That'll be a traveling plaque. Don't put a hole in the wall because that's gonna have to go down to Florida with you for your appearances and come back to Ohio.
I'm really looking forward to it. I got some special people invited to my table. I wanted to outdo Skeet Reese and try to fill the most tables at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame induction.
Just don't outdo him with the speech. You guys will be there for freaking 6 hours.
Oh, if I get a chance to speak, I might speak. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. What were we talking about before I said that? Oh, the top 5
baits. Top 5 smallmouth baits. Now we can go nostalgia. We can go
current.
We can go whatever. All right, let's hit it.
Right,
is this in no particular order, or is this is in order?
Number 1, hands down, a tube.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still the most versatile. I always said a plastic worm to a largemouth is what a tube is to a smallmouth. It literally mimics everything they
Always
eat.
has, will work for the end of eternity.
Fish, it mimics everything in their food chain. So hard to beat a double dip Lake Erie tube, you know.
Wait, walk us through that one more time. What's your and with the bait then? How as far in detail as you want to go, like just your bread and butter. We're talking the 7-inch culprit or ribbon tail with the true turn and the 1/4 ounce pet, like the standard bait. So walk us through as much detail.
I've got big gross bags of what we used to call an Erie tube. They weren't even a brand name. All the stores up near St. Clair and Erie sold them out of bins, and they're double dip. They're extra thick. They're extra salty, and you could even get a bag of the imperfected ones for half price. And I liked the ones that had imperfections in them. They had little bubbles and warts and different shapes to them. Green pumpkin, any flake in it you like. It's personal preference. But, you know, before the green pumpkin, before the gobies, you know, we went to green pumpkin. Before the gobies, it was watermelon. Watermelon orange was my color because it mimicked a crayfish and a perch at the same time. And most of that, well, the year I won the points in the Northern Everstarts, 4 different tournaments, 4 different venues. I won every single one of them on a green pumpkin tube. All 4 venues.
1/4 ounce, 3/8, half, and it's at the tube head where you're wetting it and jamming it in there and then dragging it.
1/4 ounce capsule head inside, and I used to hand pour all of them. I still have the Do It mold with a 3/0 owner, 90-degree bend, not a light hook. I don't believe in light hooks. I don't fish light spinning rods. I fish heavy duty stuff on the Great Lakes. It's not finesse fishing. It's not finesse drop shotting. It's not finesse tubing. It's like the Morton's fisherman out, you know, it's like Deadliest Catch. You're out there in the 6-footers just trying to hold on. Yeah, you know. Yeah.
All right, number two, which is probably number 1 now because of the zebras, is a drop shot. And I know you're going to want an exact bait. Man, I could list 3 or 4, and I'm not going to give you I'm not going to list all of them. But one of my very favorite drop shot baits, I will give away some juice here, and it's not juice, but it's a Yamamoto shad shape worm. It's very hard to beat. I've been in the boat with a lot of guys, and they go, looks like I got shad shape today, because I can sit there and I can catch them on that. It has a lot to do with confidence, and it has a lot to do with what you're mimicking. You know, they do get more bait specific. All right, we're only 2 in. Drop shot and a tube. Hold on, I got a picture of that shad shape.
Yeah, and I'll tell you a color that's really underrated. I'm really giving up some juice. The color that's underrated is perch.
In the shad shape.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a tube. We got a drop shot. Number 3.
Your favorite, the Carolina rig.
Oh my gosh. Okay. It hurts to write this down, but I understand it because I have been like you've been shad shape or you've shad shape wormed guys. I've been Carolina rigged, didn't open. He had me 3-0 before I even knew what had happened. Got it in that current and just swung it down, and it was game over. It was just 3 3/4, 3 3/4, 3 3/4.
Yep, and probably one of my favorite baits is a speed crawl on that Carolina rig.
Didn't you just post about 19 bags of speed crawls on your Instagram and Facebook there, Charlie?
In the right colors too. I'm at that age where I'm starting to, you know, like someone needs to know this crap before I die.
All right, well, hit really with the right colors. What are we talking leader length? And is it just 1/2 ounce, 3/4, 1 ounce?
Depending on current is how much weight you want on there. But a lot of the times when I fish an oddball, my favorite size overall weight is a 5/8. Cylinder weight. I love cylinder weights more than barrel weights. Leader length totally depends on the situation. If you're in current, I don't like a long leader. I want to keep contact, you know. If I'm in, can we talk about Champlain specifically?
It just went off this morning, so gotcha. No.
Never mind then.
I think technically because we're on a public forum here, but I shut all that
stuff
down.
That's why I asked. That's why I asked. I know how sticky that stuff is. But I'll fish anything from a
Yep.
really long leader in the right situation to about an 18-inch or 12-inch leader.
I would also just cut you off to say this, that there's not a chance in hell I'll be throwing one on Champlain anyway, so we didn't have to worry about that. But anyway, continue on with the show.
But and there's something refreshing about finding a smallmouth on heavy equipment compared to that spinning rod, when you can actually say, I got your ass, go ahead, do your stuff. I'm going to pull. I fish, like a 15 or 17 pound main line to a 12 or 15 leader, and you can wrench on them. And I'll throw a big old, 4-aught hook in there. I mean, it's not finesse fishing at all. You got them, you really got them.
Did we say the color of the speed craw?
Yeah, no, yes. I'll tell you what, some crazy stuff. I've always liked really natural ones. Watermelon orange. I've had a co-angler kill me with watermelon orange, which is an orange flake. Watermelon red magic. Oh, killer. Good old, one of my favorite all-around colors in any plastic is green pumpkin magic. There's something about that magic glitter in there and clear water. It picks up light. And then I had a co-angler a couple of years ago show me something I never would have guessed: solid black in super clear water. And by the way, solid black is one of the most underrated colors. I fish it in Florida. I fish it in the Great Lakes. Black is one of the most natural colors in nature. I mean, it imitates everything, and it's not a color you think of in gin clear water. It is not.
Okay, number 4.
Number 4 would be a TRD. Still hard to, yeah. Ned and underrated is a drop shot in that TRD, as stupid as it looks. But yes, on a Ned head, if you're not in current, the secret to that TRD is really similar to your secret with that hair fly, is light as you can stand it. And it needs to be the real Elastec material. It has a lot to do with that stuff floating and standing up. How it was when a TRD first came out. I had guys get in the back of my boat like, I don't need that stupid thing. And then they'd leave me a bag because they beat me so bad the day before. They felt bad, and they'd leave a bag in the back compartment because I'm so stubborn. I won't follow someone.
Biting off a Cinco and using a quarter of a Cinco. And okay. So the standard size, just the little snack size on like a 1/10 or 1/6, whatever you can get away with the lightest.
Yep. Sometimes you got to go all the way up to quarter just to get down, And I'm not going to say an urchin, by the way. I have caught some smallmouth on an urchin, but it's not very efficient for smallmouth. The problem we're going to find with the urchin, it's going to be fun to see this northern swing this year, because it'll come into play. But the problem with it is getting that thing down 20 to 25 feet. It has so much resistance. I've been playing around with Carolina rigging it, which but it's hard to get it down there. It's just got, when you watch it on your forward facing, trying to sink.
Oh yeah,
sink.
They thought a minnow was bad if you're a co-angler, and the guy in the front's throwing a minnow. Try fishing behind a guy who's deep structure fishing an urchin. That's a whole new meaning to hopeless.
And that would be number 5 would be a minnow, and only because it's newer. Minnows were used way before forward facing for smallmouth. Very similar baits to minnows were used way back. Gosh, just at Buffalo this weekend, it was unreal, Matt. You'd see a group of 4 or 5 of them, and you'd throw that minnow over there, and they'd all come at it like Banshee Indians. And you'd hook one, and the whole group would follow it to the boat, and then you could sit there and just drop your drop shot down and pick up all his friends. It's incredible when fish act that naive and that hungry. It's incredible.
It's wild to me. No spinner bait, no jerk bait in there, no chatter bait. I mean, they all work. We're talking about your top 5, but you're talking day in and day out. You can go to any of the Great Lakes in a smallmouth fishery whenever you have open season, open water, pre-spawn to late fall ice up with a tube, a drop shot, a sea rig, a TRD, and a minnow. And
if you're wanting to put meat in the live well, spinner bait's fun, topwater's fun, jerk bait's fun. But if you're going to make money on the Great Lakes, I mean, normally anymore, I'll have 4 rods on the front deck and all 4 will have a drop shot on them. I mean, just so I don't have to keep retying. And usually I'll break all 4 of those off and dig in the box and get 2 more drop shots out. It's really hard, efficient-wise, to beat a drop shot. It really is the most efficient way to fish them and to get them in the boat.
Now, I also know, and I'm being cognizant of time here to make sure you get to your meeting. But do we have time for one more top 5 list?
We got plenty.
Okay. So when you go up smallmouth bass fishing, I think there's 2 different feels. Like when you're practicing for a tournament and you're out by yourself and you're out in the abyss and you know, like, oh, I'm the only human being in this 6-mile stretch. But that being said, it is also badass to share a boat with a buddy while you're smallmouth fishing, because you both typically catch them. Even with the forward facing now, it's not a deal where one guy jacks all of them and you don't. Most of the time it's 50-50. Sometimes the co-angler, like if you're on a Thousand Island scenario, can wax you if they know what they're doing, especially in the current, like they have them more. You're always out on the boat. I'm curious. And I'm not even going to say your top, but give me 5 guys that you really enjoy, or people that you really enjoy smallmouth bass fishing with on the Great Lakes. And I think I know 3 or 4 of them. And it could be currently with us today. They could have passed. It could be, they could not be fishing. They could be young guys, old guys, spouses, whatever. But give me 5 people that you love smallmouth bass fishing with.
Not in any particular order.
Yep.
But the first one that comes to mind is Steve Clapper, the general of Lake Erie. Not only is it an honor to be with him because he has waypoints that will die with him that are phenomenal. I mean, he takes you to places once you earn his respect, because he knows you will never go to his spot without him, that are loaded, that are in the middle of nowhere. And the other reason is he still lights up every damn time he catches one, and he's caught 4,000 times more than I have. And he gets a twinkle in his eye every time he sets the hook. We've had 100 fish days together with, 40 over 4 pounds, 10 or 15 over 5 pounds, and neither of us want to go in. We're like 2 kids. And then I've also had the pleasure of putting him on sight fishing smallmouth on Lake Erie with a flipping stick and a big tube. And we just catch them over and over. And he goes, "Charlie, I think we already caught these." I go, "That's all right. We're going to start over again. Let's catch them again, Steve."
Come on, Charlie.
That would be number 1. Number 2, not number 1.
Win a couple BPTs with that strategy.
Yes, exactly. They look like new ones to me. You just wander around. Look, they look new to
Jody
me.
White's laughing at that joke, I promise you.
I know. By the way, Jody's a great dude. I follow him. He's catching the snot. A lot of people posted pictures about all the fish they caught instead of going to iCast. He was one of them.
His top 5: drop shot, A-rig, popper, jig, and minnow for Jody White.
Well, he's an authority, no doubt about
continue.
it. Jeremy Reese, my buddy, he says I taught him how to smallmouth fish. That's not true. I pointed him in the right direction a couple of times, and he has surpassed my skills. And I'm getting to go fishing with him tomorrow, pre-fishing for a tournament. I get to be a co-angler with him. I love it when he guides me. All he says is, "You have to bring lunch. I'll bring everything else." And that's my kind of fishing trip right there.
Okay.
He and I, we talk more than we fish, and we have such joy and pleasure when we fish together. It just, a third one who's no longer with me would be my childhood friend, Tom May, who I grew up north. The cabin we rented up north, his parents owned it. We got in more trouble together, did more things together than any 2 people I've ever. My best friend and my worst friend, we should have been in jail 100 times.
Was he a skater?
Huh?
Did he skate with you?
No, but we did everything else together. And we just had so much fun, and he was the kind of guy I could call with 5 hours notice. I'm going to Oklahoma tomorrow. You want to go? And yep, I'll meet you on the highway, and he'd get in the truck. He'd go fishing with me anywhere. Just fun. Years ago, Frank and I fished together some on the Great Lakes, and that was a pleasure. And another buddy that's no longer with me, my buddy Tommy Thompson, he used to fish the Bassmasters and the Tour. Lost him too. Again, another buddy that we would have so much fun together. And then my buddy Willie from up around Cleveland area. Willie and I have been friends since teenagers, and he's probably caught as many fish with me as any human being on the planet. We've spent a lot of time in the boat together, and I'd like to add you to that list, Matt. So when are we going smallmouth fishing?
Dude, that would be an absolute honor to get out there. And I will play co-ang. I'll throw a Carolina rig. I'll drag a tube. I'll do whatever the hell you tell me to.
We would have fun. I really enjoy it. And Tracy was proud of me. I'm getting better with that forward facing. Yeah. She was bragging to Jeremy that, man, he's really working on that. He's really working on that. And, I have not pre-fished for any of these Bass Opens. Just because of where they're at. They're too far away, and scheduling and work. But with Buffalo being nearby and me being right on the cusp of making the EQs, I have invested some time at Buffalo, and I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to perform. So I publicly am telling you, I did my homework there. And
don't put as much pressure as I put on myself at the river.
Oh, can we talk about that? I got to witness.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I want to finish your thoughts on.
I got to witness the meltdown
on Buffalo. I was just saying, don't do what I did.
But as long as the wind doesn't blow, I've turned into a sissy with the wind. When I was young,
you're smart. You understand what your limitations are, and you understand the skill set, and you respect nature.
The year I won the Canadian Open, there were small craft advisories. And I wasn't the smartest guy at the Canadian Open. I was the stupidest guy for going out there when you shouldn't have been out there. That used to be my advantage. I'd laugh at those big waves. Well, I don't laugh at them anymore. I'm intimidated by them. So if that wind will allow me, we're going to catch some unbelievable fish there. That's an impressive fishery that does not get pressured as much. So that would be it.
Yeah, no, you need to make those EQs, Charlie.
I don't know that I even want to. Look where we're going. And then did you see the entry fees? They're even more than the Opens.
Oh, but you make so much money fishing the Opens.
Yeah. And then let's add something else to it.
You don't have to worry about the entry fees. That's why you got that nicely pressed dress shirt on, and that's why you got a signed corporate meeting at 11
We don't know if they're going to be forward facing or not.
That's why you started as the guy mopping the floors, and then worked your way up, and then busted your ass. And
I got the same email you did about having to have a POV camera, right? What is that? Point of view camera in our boats, since we're not going to have.
Oh, I haven't
Marshals?
read that. I haven't read
that. So you're going to have to help me with the technical part on that. Tell me what kind of camera to get, I don't know any of that, dude.
It's super easy.
I know. But I'm going to lean on you for that. That's your expertise. I'm going to lean on you. So anyway, I want to make the EQ.
If I help you with the camera setup, I also get to strap a heart rate monitor and calorie burning tracker on you, because we've actually seen each other quite a bit on the water over the last years. Like we could totally talk about Mississippi, because we started in the same damn spot 100 yards from each other, and watched that kid from Mississippi.
And then a jubilation on day 2. I got to see it all. And I got a story from lacrosse if you got a minute.
No, I'm game. You let me know when you have to leave, because I would love to talk about that. Because I think you stayed in the Black River the majority of the time, didn't you?
Yep. And we're good on time for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched you start on spot 1 with that other guy. It was real cool. And he was figuring them out. He was
a cool kid. I can't remember his name.
I know.
He was badass.
And I was like, I don't know everyone's rap anymore or everyone's name. And anyway, I saw you pull in there and I was off to the side. I got one good one on top water. They were coming up schooling right against the face of that roll dam. And I busted 2 Ricos on that damn roll dam. Shattered them. Poosh. But I got one good one and I left there. And my spot number 2 ended up being money. I mean, I got my limit, called, and then upgraded with a big one. And then someone moved in with me, and I watched them catch them. No, but you came by way too fast. You fished right over them the first day. The spot you stopped for a little bit. I didn't want to tell you that, but anyway, this is the funniest thing that ever happened to me, Matt. In 30 years of tournament fishing, 40 years of tournament fishing, I've never had this happen. I could see the guy that moved over where I was catching them because I wore him out till I couldn't catch him anymore. And I got away from it to let him rest. Someone moved in there and he's wearing them out. And I'm watching him getting the bogus scales out and upgrade. I'm like, oh, God, he's wearing them out. I never should have left them. Well, I didn't know who it was or what happened. And I get off the weigh-in stand. I've never had this happen in my life, Matt. You tell me if you've never had this happen. I won't mention the guy's name. He was nothing but polite, but he said, right when I get off the stage, I mean, I'm still head spinning from the tournament. Guy walks up to me, Charlie, how could I ask you not to start there in the morning? And my first reaction was, wait, because then I thought, be smart here, be a poker player. First I said, what spot are we talking about? Instead of telling him, let's see, because I'm not sure which spot we're talking about yet. And he goes, the blah, blah, blah. And I go, I mean, I'm looking at him like I've never been asked this in my life. You know, I'm like, and I'm looking at him like he's got horns out of his head. And I go, I can't do that. I caught my whole limit there. I upgraded. I went to spots after that. I really got nothing else. He goes, well, you got a better boat number than me tomorrow. And I go, yeah, well, I'm going there. And I go, why would you ask me not to start there? And he goes, I'm leading the tournament. At the time he was leading the tournament, we were only about 3 flights in. And I'm like, I go, no, I'm sorry. I go, this is competition and I got a better boat number than you. And I didn't say this out loud, but I'm thinking in my head, I plan on getting there first and catching all of them, dude. I've never had anyone. And he goes, well, can I fish there with you? And I go, I can't ask you not to fish there. That's not even part of the rules, Well, that was the weirdest thing to me. Driving home, I was almost upset. Like, that's a weird position to be in. And then the more I thought about it, the guy did the right thing. He politely asked. And I politely said no. Well, he ended up doing really good in the tournament. I had to watch him on day 3, just jack him. But you know what he was doing different than me when he moved in on the first day? The urchin.
Really?
Oh my gosh. The second day when he joined me, I got to see it. And I'm like,
he was urchin jerking.
Oh my gosh. Yes. It took me a while because first I thought it was a jerk bait, but then I see it come out of the water and I was like, oh, and he, that day 1, I wore him out on a square bill and on a drop shot until I couldn't catch him anymore. And when I left, he pulled in there with that urchin and upgraded and upgraded and upgraded. Well, day 2, we got there. I got there first and I got 2 real quick. And then he moved in and within about an hour, I got 2. He's got nothing. And he goes, are you getting them? I go, no. He goes, I'm out of here. I can't stand. I'm like, good. He's gone. I'm staying here the rest of the friggin' day because I had nothing else. But anyway.
The sad part is that I can't even think of that spot. And I won't say anything on air.
Your head was spinning. I watched. But then you came by me on day 2 at about noon. And you're like, Charlie, I got a limit with a couple big ones. You were just like so jubilant. I've never seen you that happy. And I'm screaming, yeah, man.
Well, because the whole damn river's idle. So you can't run past each other.
Honestly, after day 1, I thought you left because I know how you can be. And I thought after that weight day one, I figured you left. But then someone said, "Oh no, he's here. He's going to try to make it up." I'm like, "Go Matt, go Matt, go Matt."
Yeah. Yeah, no, if you watch the video, I rolled up and had a couple of really good bites right off the hopper, and then had a little magic stretch. Just a little magic stretch.
I saw you catch the flathead catfish. I know. That was one of my spots too. I caught some fish there in practice. It never paid off in the tournament.
That
there were a lot
flathead
of
got
fish.
hung up on whatever was that junk that was down there. And I was like, oh, I said, you know, those fish where while you're fighting them in your head, you're like, I'm going to remember this fish regardless of what happens.
Right.
Like you're like, this is either going to be the story where I had it and I shit the bed, or I freaking, the hero story. Like I got it in. And once I felt it rolling, but over your career, I'm sure you could think back to those fish too. But while you're fighting it, you kind of think about like, okay, like this fish is going to be a story that is told in bars and your buddies after the tournament. And like the next 30 seconds determine on whether this is a happy or a heartbreak story.
That was a really fun tournament, Matt. Tom Mansour, 77 years old. I was in the same flight with him, and we haven't seen each other in years. And I figured something out. The first thing old people ask you is, how old are you? It's almost like a competition because they want to know if they're older or younger than you. And I've had 3 or 4 guys do that to me now. And that's when you know you've matured. When Paulie Lass goes, how old are you? Because they're hoping you're older than them, and you're not. I'm decades younger than you, Paul. I'm decades younger than you, Tom. But Tom Mansour, the purest thing I saw, and he does it every time. He's leading after day one. And you know what he says over and over? I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Yes, you can.
I can't
Tom.
believe it. And you're like, Tom, you've won every tournament on this river. How come you're the only one that can't believe you're leading the tournament?
He was fishing that swim jig on the third day. I mean, if you were telling me swim jig, I mean, he was like dead sticking it, dragging it. It was heavy.
He's amazing.
Like it wasn't like just reel a swim jig through the pads and grass and wait. I mean, I was like, oh, okay, like maybe swim jig in name, not swim jig in technique.
He reminds me of Steve Clapper on Lake Erie, the way he is on that stretch of river. The knowledge he has, we can't even comprehend the knowledge he has of that. And that's why it's so funny when he's so humble and says, I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I had I guess a backhanded compliment. I had one of the young 20-somethings say he considered me the best old scoper around. And it was his way of being like, hey man, like you're keeping up with it. And I was like, ooh, that would got me like right here. Like, like you're like one of the best old scopers. Like you've adopted it very nice.
One of the other things that happened at La Crosse that you talk about funny stories. I was catching them on a square bill, and I was down to the last color one between pike, rocks, breaking the bills off. I was down to one of the last good colors. And after that guy left me on day 2, I get a hold of a good fish, and I'm like, yeah, well, it's a daggone pike, and it's got that crank, that square bill in deep. And I looked at that pike, and I said, I'm sorry, Mr. Pike, but I need that square bill back, and we're not going to be friends when this is done. And I mean, I filleted that pike to get that thing back, and it was trashed. I had to put all new hooks on it, retied it. I throw out very next cast, and I hook into big bass of the tournament. And I'm like, new hooks, brand new line tie. Good thing you did all that. It was worth all the effort. And it comes up, and it's a mudfish that's about that long. And it had it so far down. It's like, this time the square bill's gone. I'm not fighting that mudfish for it. 2 casts in a row, a pike and a mudfish.
And that river has it. I don't think this individual was talking about like on tour or anything. They were just talking about Spencer. Like in the vicinity of like the opens where we were. We're not talking about like BPT Elite
AAA
Series.
League, right? Yeah. In our AAA League, you're the best old scoper.
In his opinion, I'm not even saying I am the best. The whole point of that story was the key word, old.
I don't know. I think you're one of the best old scopers, man.
results haven't shown it very. I did get on an
other
urchin jerk and scope bite on Thursday by myself in the old Thursday nighter that made me feel like KVD in 2008. Oh my God, I could do no wrong. I ended up losing to a young scoper by like 0.02, but I had big bass in second. I probably caught 30 in 3 hours on that thing.
I got to give you a quick update on Josh. You're the one that introduced me to Josh, the 14-year-old.
Oh, the kid that listened to BTO and then needed a partner, and then you guys fished as team and won some stuff in Ohio. Yeah.
We have so much fun together. Well, when I got back from Florida, I said, you know what? I don't want to make this kid have to call and ask me if he can go with me. I'll be proactive. And hey, Josh, I'm going to be at Tuesday night, or if you need a ride, you're always welcome to jump in my boat. Well, he goes, Mr. Hartley, I'm going to try it on my own tomorrow night. And I go, you got a boat, Josh? Yeah, I want to try it on my own. Well, I was kind of relieved, but also kind of hurt. Like, oh, I lost my Josh, Well, bless his heart, he shows up. Oh, gosh, he's going to be so mad if I tell this. He's got a little Toyota pickup truck, and he's got his learner's permit. He's even got personalized plates and tinted windows. I didn't know Josh was so cool. And he's got a little bass tub behind him. It's about 10 foot long with a 9.9 kicker. He's got a trolling motor on the front. I remember last year at the end of the year, he said, I bought a little boat, and everyone at that Tuesday night tournament brought him stuff. We brought him a trolling motor. We brought him a depth finder. We brought him batteries so he could accessorize the boat. He said, I'm going to try it on my own. Well, I'm going to tell Josh, don't get mad, Josh, because Josh wants to look so cool and grown up. With his learner's permit, it has to have an adult in the car. So he makes his mom ride in the passenger seat and scrunch down real low so that no one can see.
That's fair.
It's cool as hell. It's cool as hell. And he's like, don't tell anyone Mom's in there.
I respect that.
I did.
Good mom for playing along too.
Josh had so much style. Yeah, I know. And I helped him get launched. He got panicky because it wouldn't start. And I said, slow down. Yeah. I'm like, slow down. You're going to end up backing into the lake with your truck.
Pump that bulb.
Yeah.
You'll learn the trick.
And I helped him, and I got in there, and he had it flooded. I go, Josh, you got it flooded. Quit using the electric start. Let's try pull starting it and get the carbs cleaned out. And it finally, boop, 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 and he got it off the trailer, and he found his way over to the dock and tied it off. And it was like I wasn't there anymore. He went out and with all the other boats and started hanging out with them, and talking smack to him like, I'm going to get you tonight. I'm going to get you tonight. I'm in my boat. Well, it was adorable. And that lasted a couple nights, but now he's back in the Ranger with me. He decided that he's not quite ready, but it was so cool. And now he's shopping for a bigger boat. I'm trying to give him advice on that. But yeah, Josh is spreading his own wings now. It's unbelievable.
Love it. All right, well, we'll let you get back to your meeting. That was a fantastic. I like the lists and the shows and the stories. And this had lists and stories and baits and all sorts of stuff.
One other thing, did your wife color the mustache, or do you do that yourself?
She did it. She's like the top level esthetician. I mean, she's got every category of accreditation that you need. So
you are a lucky man, Matt.
Yeah. It's awful, isn't it? I mean, like horrible. We have like a function the night before we leave. We have like a function where I have to go meet a bunch of people that I've never met before. And this is going to be their first. This is going to be their first impression. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll go with the aviators and the freaking BTL hat and go up to Champlain and, drink Labatt Blues and Kokanees every evening and throw a couple jumbo perch in the live well and not even think about it. But
I was in a creek at La Crosse and took a sign of a Blatt's beer sign. Do you remember Blatt's beer?
I do not.
You're too young. You're too young. Blatt's beer, BLATZ. There was an old sign in one of the creeks out in front of an old tavern, Blatt's beer. It was like $5 for a 6 or $5 for a 12-pack when we were kids. But anyway,
a whole bunch of people online that are looking for it.
As long as you keep dyeing that mustache, it makes you look young.
Well, it's not that I have gray; it's that it's just flesh colored. Flesh colored mustache, never good.
Thank you, people, for listening. And nothing makes a Monday better than listening to BTL than being on BTL. Good luck at Champlain.
23 a day, top 10, Lake Erie, EQs, and I'll see you.
Go to Champlain and qualify for the Classic.
It's to the national championship to then qualify to the Classic. It's a
Can I fish going to Champlain, or do you have to qualify?
No, it's the Bass Nation Regional, but I believe, I don't know. Call up Bassmaster and see.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Well, and that's the other good thing about the 3 EQs. It's 3 more chances to go to a Classic, bud. And especially on those fisheries in the fall, they're not going to be slugfest. It'll be grimy.
Is the beer that Blatz, is that the beer that had the puzzles under the bottle caps?
I don't know. I never looked under the bottle caps. We were just drinking at that age.
All right, catch him up at Buffalo.
Enjoy Champlain. Enjoy your pretty wife and your pretty life, and can't wait to go fishing with you. You're going to be driving through here, maybe on your way back.
Smallmouth fishing. We've been fishing before.
Yep.
I got it.
I know.
Charlie Hartley. We talked about that.
We haven't been fishing.
No, I would love to do that. I would love to do the smallmouth thing. Yeah, did you ever do the trip when we first started drop shotting? This is like, I'll tell you, Kurt Dove showed me this back in the day, where he cut the tube in half and then drop shotted just half of the tube. It was just like a piece of flat, it was like a flying lure, half of plastic with like 4 tentacles, and you just drop shot that because it's like super cheap, and you get a bag of 10 tubes, you got 20 drop shot baits.
You see, a couple of the Surge Club was up there pre-fishing, and they drop shotted gummy worms, gummy watermelons, and then a Zen pouch, and
Tucker was catching them on Zen.
That's how stupid smallmouth are. You can catch them on a Zen packet.
I think he should have been using the velos. He would have caught more on a velo wild berry than a Zen.
Isn't that crazy what those kids are doing now? I'm really old when I'm like, what are those dudes doing?
I think it's badass that there's kids who like that's what they want to do though. Like, hey, you want to do something crazy? You want to go try to catch a smallmouth on a gummy worm? Like, there's a lot of worse things they could be doing. You were probably doing the worst things that they're not doing back when you were their age, Charlie.
We weren't doing that with our gummy worms. You're right. That's not what we were doing with our
On that note, enjoy your meeting. We'll talk to you soon.
Good to see you, buddy. Good luck.
To see you. See you, Charlie. The one, the only, Charlie Hartley. We'll be back to a BTL on a Monday right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast and chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
As a professional angler, there's only one thing that connects you to your paycheck. Probably the most crucial part to tournament bass fishing. I use Sunline because they have a line for every application. Shooter, FX2, All Might, super light line, big stuff, big sticks. Sunline has you covered.
Sharp as can be. Super strong, super durable.
Really good penetration.
Thinner and stronger.
Catch fish after fish.
I want to make sure that I'm using the best stuff possible.
World's finest hook.
World's finest hook.
Gamakatsu. World's finest hook.
When I'm in a tournament, conditions are constantly changing and every second matters. With the Deep Dive app, I can instantly pull up all the current lake conditions all in one spot. So no more looking at weird government websites. In just one quick glance, I have water clarity, water level, wave forecast. It's all right there in the Deep Dive app. Download the Deep Dive app and get all the tools you need to put together an awesome tournament.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Monday. That was a cool show, Charlie. There's not that many guys that can say they caught smallmouth out of every single Great Lake. I believe Gray Buck did that a couple years ago, where his goal was to catch a 4-pound smallmouth out of all the Great Lakes, and I think he kind of did it with his wife there, and then was able to cross that off of the bucket list. But I mean, it sounds easier because Charlie's like, oh, it's dumb, you put it down there, you can catch them on Zin and whatever you want. But also, when you talk about the season, the weather, being able to get out there, make it happen, like, it's a lot of money, it's a lot of logistics, it's a lot of time, and it's also spread out over, I mean, from when you're on Superior all the way to Thousand Islands, I mean, covers a lot of miles. You have a lot of logistics to do it. I know it like I set it up to Champlain, but every time you go to Thousands Islands and stuff, you have a lot of safety equipment, a lot of stuff on the boat that you have to make sure you have everything dialed in, flares and ropes and anchors, and be like just a lot that goes into the big water. But that's also what makes it cool. I would encourage everybody, and we didn't even really get into this a lot when we were talking, but I think it's good for the soul to get up there, to get up north and to catch a smallmouth. And I think it's funny, like, if you were to ask a lot of the northern guys, would you rather catch, like a 6-pound smallmouth or a 8-pound largemouth, they would say largemouth, whereas most of the largemouth guys would say smallmouth. It's also kind of probably proximity to like what's around you, what you're used to. Like a Florida guy, you talk, got guys from Canada love to go down to Florida. Guys from Florida love to go up to Canada. It's just because it's proximity and what's not around there. But I think it's good for the soul. Definitely, if you are looking or thinking of a trip, a bucket list trip to do, get some buddies together. And the cool thing about the smallmouth too is it's not like, you find out on those Great Lakes and areas where they are, you have reefs and rock piles, and you can drag and drop, and you can scope and you can not scope and things like that. But like, get a couple guys together, one guy finds them, and you can all kind of get dialed in on the pattern. And also, I love about one of the things I like about the Great Lakes, like you can, everybody in the boat can catch them, and I think that's cool. And they're also just badass fish. And then occasionally you can, that's an interesting question up north for smallmouth or Mexico trip to 180 degrees. They both have the element of kind of unknown and excitement, but two totally different. But Mexico has a lot more like nature, wild vibes. I've been to 3 lakes in Mexico, specifically, Backrack and El Salto feel more mountainy than I thought they would, but you still have that kind of, but that crisp northern air, whether it's in Michigan or upstate New York or Canada or something like that. There's got to be major health benefits for that. Maybe not right now with the smoke from the wildfires, might not be good, but if you haven't done it, it's definitely something that I would put on the bucket list, even if it's just for 3 days or 2 days. It's worth the drive. It's a long drive for a lot of people. But all right, that's all we got for today. Big shout out to Charlie Hartley. So we try to get him on once every couple months. Just like smallmouth fishing is good for the soul. Well, Charlie Hartley every now and then. Good for the attitude. Positive vibes. I got to call him after his meeting there and figure out what I fished over that would have made my life a lot easier on the Mississippi, because he said I fished right past it. I was racking my brain. I cannot figure it out. All right. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. See ya.